So when we made Slippery, that was the time when we realized, hey, I think we understand how to make records now, and I think we can get out from under the producer, Lance Quinn, who had done our first 2 records. It was time to move on. We felt a little more confident, more independent. Found Bruce Fairburn, went to Vancouver, and, all the magic came together because none of us were us yet. Bruce wasn't he wasn't Bruce Fairburn yet. Bob Rock was not Bob Rock. We certainly weren't Bon Jovi yet. Everybody just came together, and that was one of those classic cases where 1 and 1 makes 3. It just exploded for all of us. Our lives changed with Slippery.
Did you know you were onto something good when you were in the studio?
Again, there were some songs that were just so different. Living on a Prayer didn't sound like anything on the radio. It didn't sound like anybody. It didn't tell the stories that anything was out there. We're talking about a time when it was Tears for Fears. It was Cyndi Lauper. It was it had nothing to do with rock bands like us being on pop radio. We couldn't get on those radio. Rock bands weren't getting on those radio stations. So we wrote Prayer, and I wasn't all that confident in the song. I thought it was okay. Richie said I was crazy, and he was right. But we went in, and Fairburn was very patient in the pre-production process, and then you had that, and you had Bad Name, and then you had Wanted, and you sort of went, wow, this could be fun, But we thought, I don't know, maybe like Addicted to Love, was, remember the Robert Palmer song? It was like, man, if Bad Name could be half of what that is on the radio, we'd be lucky, and wow, Bad Name's #1, Prayer's #1, Wanted's, one of the classics. So who knew? I mean, really, who knew?
Do you think that is the problem, though, today? Going back to what you were saying about shows like we have the X Factor, you have American Idol, that one minute you go from working in McDonald's, the next minute you go to being on stage with Beyonce Knowles at the Super Bowl, and then 6 months later, you're applying for that job at McDonald's again.
You could be. You very well could be. And in all fairness to a lot of those guys that had their moment and could all sing really well, being a great singer does not a career make, unless you want to go work on a cruise ship somewhere or a Disney on Ice show. But being allowed to be in a garage and then making your own demos and feeling out how you're going to differentiate yourself from other guys, and so that you could be unique. Because even if you make a record and you're a garage band or you're an Idol, you're competing with U2 and the Stones and Bon Jovi the minute you walk out your front door, because there's only so much shelf space, only so much radio time, and you better be ready for that fight, because it ain't gonna be easy. And then a career is not made overnight. For those who have that fleeting moment, I hope they take a lot of pictures.
And what's your take on Guitar Hero? Because I read, I can't remember which musician it was, but a very famous guitarist, saying the problem with Guitar Hero is that people are no longer learning how to play the actual instrument.
I agree with that.
See, I would love to be able to play guitar, and I'm probably too old to learn now. I'm 32, and as soon as my son is old enough to... In fact, my guitar in the corner of the room, he's already started sort of strumming it.
Good.
But Guitar Hero makes me feel like I could be Bon Jovi.
Guitar Hero does one great thing, is it takes certain songs and turns another generation onto them. So a lot of kids have found Living on a Prayer, for example, because of those Guitar Hero games. But I absolutely agree that had it taught you how to play the instrument as well as entertain you, it could have been just magical. For the millions of people that play it, if it found an easy way while entertaining you, it would be magical. Because imagine how much pleasure people would derive from playing an instrument, and who knows where it leads. You end up writing your own song because of it.
Let's do these fan questions, because there's so many of them, and I know you got to go, and we appreciate you coming in, and we are grateful for your time, as always, John. This is from Teresa Bridges, who I think must have sent me about 5,000 questions. She would much rather be sat here than me. But this is the question. Help us out for all those who are battling with our obsession with you. Give us a fault or two of yours. I mean, obviously, your perfection.
Where do you want to begin? I mean, there's a ton of them. I've got more shortcomings than I can imagine sometimes.
Do you bite your fingernails?
No.
No?
No, don't do that.
Do you fart in bed?
Sure. You play that game all the time. You're married.
Teresa, there you go. Hello, John. Congratulations on the Lost Highway tour being the most successful tour of last year. You must be thrilled. I would love to know what your own personal highlight of the tour was and whether you still get excited playing to huge crowds as you did last year. P.S. Do you remember in Coventry last June when you picked a little boy out of the crowd to sing Who Says You Can't Go Home? Well, that was my son, Jack, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you. It was one of the most amazing moments of my life, says Joanna Hampshire, who's looking forward to another 25 years of Bon Jovi.
Thanks, Joe. Hey, Jack, how are you, buddy? Yeah, I do remember that, as a matter of fact. He did a good job. It was very nice to know that was the biggest tour of 2008. We were pretty surprised to hear that, but pleased nonetheless. I don't know that there were highlights or lowlights. They are just memories. Some faded at this point because it becomes a blur being on the road. But what began as 10 shows at home ended up, being just ginormous, in America, and playing Central Park and the 10 nights in Jersey, a couple more nights in New York, and Twickenham here to Dublin to Munich Olympic stadiums. The kinds of things that we did on that tour were a lot of fun. I can look back proudly and say I enjoyed that one.
This is from Rachel Pearson, who is in Edinburgh. She says, your fans are hugely devoted to you, and your detractors seem to be just as strongly against you, all of them very outspoken. Would you rather people didn't get as worked up over you and your work, whether positively or negatively, or do you prefer strong reactions?
I try not to pay attention to either one, to be honest with you, because if you start believing the good, and then you better get ready for all the bad. So, I don't know, I think I'd rather have people have an opinion of what we did than them just be nonchalant and not really care. So I think that's a good place to be at this point.
Steve Kenny in London asks, after all your campaigning over the years for Gore and Kerry and Obama, do you have the president's mobile phone number?
I did. They changed it since he's got the big house, but I did. I actually really, truly did.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty funny. But I did. I got it on my speed dial, which is, now I'm sure it just goes to nothing. This number's been disconnected. But I did.
That's who do I have? I think I have Ronnie Wood's number on my mobile phone.
That's pretty impressive.
He left a message on my phone one day. Yeah, but I don't have the president of the United States.
You got a stone. That's just as good.
And these are from me. These are the last questions before we let you go. Last song you downloaded.
Oh, man, I wish I could tell you because it would be funny. It would be something for my 7-year-old Jake, and it would be like Flo Rida or somebody like these.
You don't do what Tom Cruise did in Tropic Thunder. I could just see John Bon Jovi doing that.
Yeah, doing the dance like that, right? Oh, man, I wish I could remember because he makes me listen to this music that just is not me. And then it gets on my downloads, and you want to delete them so bad because you don't want anyone going on your computer and seeing that you're downloading SpongeBob SquarePants. And
hey, nothing wrong with that. Mine was the theme tune to Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Which is actually recorded by They Might Be Giants, of all bands.
That true?
Yeah, I had no idea. Your favourite TV show?
Used to be The Sopranos, West Wing. I don't know what I watch these days, but those two were really, really... I'd stop, go watch them.
You're on death row. What's your final meal?
I'd probably skip eating and just, drink my way out.
Hardest Bon Jovi song to sing?
Oh, there are a bunch of those. Those key changes at the end of Living on a Prayer took some time. I don't know why we were so dumb in our youth to write so high.
Because you didn't think you'd be doing it now. That's probably
why.
You
know what? If you hear a song on an album that you go, that's a darn good song, why don't they do it live? That's why.
Beatles song you wish you'd wrote?
Every single one of them. Those guys were freaks. I once was able to tell Paul that George and John just went back to their planet, because it's too surreal that body of work in 7 years. It's just crazy.
And your favourite swear word?
Fuck.
Hey, listen, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. It's always good to see you here. You're always welcome
it.
here at One Golden Square. And good luck with the album. John Bon Jovi on Absolute Radio.